Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard. Listen, today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, but also a very emotional topic, and that is going to be anti-gun control, or gun control by anti-gun activists. Now, if you're on the West Coast like myself, that would be Washington, California, Oregon. This is the wall of gun control. As California goes, so goes the West Coast. And guys, here in Oregon, we're looking at an absolute onslaught of unconstitutional, overreaching, and infringing legislation that will go to the ballot this November. A group called Lift Every Voice Oregon, that is backed by Moms Demand Action, Giffords, and other anti-gun groups and anti-gun legislative groups, are pushing to create things like a license to purchase. You will literally have to take a class that is put on by the state police or by your local police department, safe gun handling, live fire, the understanding of gun usage, the laws, etc. However, there's no infrastructure for this. They haven't even developed the program or even gotten the police departments or sheriff's departments to sign on. Many of them here in Portland have such a contentious relationship with the public. There's no way that they're going to allow the everyday average citizen to come in, hand them a firearm, and say, yeah, point it that way. I mean, that would absolutely be catastrophic here in Portland. However, this is something that more than likely, unfortunately, is going to pass. So what do you do? Guys, I asked that question. What do we do? I have 5 tips that I've been thinking about, and I want to say this, and I think that's important. I had someone comment yesterday. They said, listen, the only thing for us to do is to not comply. Well, if you live in a rural area, if you are in a certain demographic, if you're in certain places, that might be something that you're willing to do. Personally, I am not willing to do that because the ramifications of violating law for the law-abiding citizen. And remember, us legal gun owners, what separates us from the common criminal is that we do abide by the law. And unfortunately, that's what ends up entangling us and ensnaring us, because we do follow the law as opposed to the criminal. So if you violate those laws, right, specifically here in Oregon with what's coming, a certain number of misdemeanor infractions, it becomes a felony. And if you're a felon, you can't own your firearms. Ultimately, I think that's the goal. They want to ensnare us with arbitrary misdemeanor fines and misdemeanor infractions so that ultimately they can have a legitimate reason to take our guns. But guys, listen, that is the reality of where we are. We are doing some things on this side, doing our absolute best to try and fight this legislation. But I want to give you my 5 tips. If you are living in a blue state that is coming after your gun rights, there are some things that you can do to help mitigate the oncoming onslaught. All right, let's get right into it, guys. Listen, number 5 is going to be increasing your situational awareness. Now, no matter what laws are passed, no matter what ordinance come down, the reality of your safety being at risk, no matter where you are, and the truth that no matter what situation happens, no matter how well-intentioned, police cannot be there in the exact moment that you need them. Your livelihood, your responsibility to taking care of your own safety, it doesn't change based on legislation. So if you cannot carry a 17 round magazine, if you cannot carry that 18 round magazine, if you feel like the capacity with which you're able to protect yourself is being diminished based on the law and based on you choosing to follow that law, the only thing that you can do, well, one of the 5 things that you can do is increase your situational awareness. Listen, you are going to have to be more vigilant, more aware, more on point in terms of being out in public and being on your own property as to what's going on around you. Take out the headphones, take the head out of the cell phone, and be cognizant of what's going on around you. If your capacity in terms of what you're able to rely on is somehow diminished, you're going to have to increase your situational awareness. Now, speaking of capacity, that brings me to number 4, and that's going to be carrying extra magazines. Now, if you want to stay legal and you have to be under a certain round count, potentially here in Oregon, and I'm assuming in California, that's going to be a 10 round capacity max. you're going to have to get more comfortable carrying a spare magazine. Now, many months ago, and I think this is an interesting dynamic on how things are fluid in life and in business and in politics, right? A few months ago, I came on here talking about concealed carry. And one of the things that I did not subscribe to was carrying a spare magazine. Many people, hey, look, you never know what's going to happen. You can have malfunctions. You can have situations where you're dealing with multiple assailants and you need those extra rounds. And that was when we were talking about capacity of anywhere between, 15, 17, 24 rounds in your firearm. Now, if you're capped at 10 rounds, you're going to have a secondary magazine. So right now, this is a Pit Bull Tactical, okay, off the body pocket magazine carrier, and it just holsters a magazine like that. So guys, having that secondary magazine is going to become so much more critical, so much more important, which also means you're going to have to get more comfortable and more proficient with magazine swaps, dropping those magazines, reloading quickly, getting back on target. You've seen the videos on dry fire that I've done. You've seen a lot of the range videos, but this is something that if you're living in some of these blue states, these Democrat controlled states, liberal states, you're going to have to get more comfortable, confident, and proficient with quick magazine changes, because if you're in a situation where you need more rounds and you want to stay within the legal limits, you're going to have to be able to swap those mags, with more confidence. So, number 4, carrying more off-body magazines. Which brings me to number 3, which is going to be the actual magazines. Now, if you have an AR-15 and your standard capacity magazine, this is not a fucking high capacity magazine, your standard capacity magazine of 30 rounds will now become illegal, and you will have to have a 10 round magazine. You're looking at about that much space or availability for your 223, your 556 rounds. So what do? You don't want to look like one of those completely emasculated liberals coming out of California with the teeny tiny little magazine. But you're in luck. There are companies out there, Magpul, and different companies that don't come to mind at the moment. You can Google them. They make what is called a 10 by 30. So that is a 10 round capacity magazine that still looks exactly like the 30 round magazine. You insert that into your AR-15 and you still look somewhat like a normal human being. Again, with your pistols, this is a Glock 45. Let's go ahead and clear it. Okay, some of your firearms, your Glock 19 are going to have, I think I have a Glock 19 magazine here somewhere. Let's pull that out. We're looking at 15 rounds, all right? So you can also purchase 15 round magazines that are the same exact size with the double stack that will be in a 10 round capacity. So changing your magazines to fit within the accordance of the law while still maintaining the same size and depth of your normal standard magazines is a third thing that you can do to mitigate some of the bullshit that comes with anti-gun legislation. You guys can see how frustrated I'm getting. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to be like this. Okay, your number 2 thing that you can do, and this is so important, is get politically involved. Guys, I have created Gun Rights Matter Oregon, and this organization is set to help educate the average person, the soccer mom, that middle of the road person that still hopefully has some sanity left, to help take some of the fear out of firearms, and to also let people know that you potentially, right, no matter where you fall on the spectrum of being a citizen in this country, you potentially are equally as marginalized as any person who can articulate their need for a firearm. Guys, if you're watching the Ukraine, when the tanks roll in and the jets are flying overhead, it doesn't matter what your financial status is, whether or not you live in a gated community, or who you know. Your life is in your own hands. You are your own first responder. So everyone has to get more politically involved. You guys have got to get into the arena. Plato said it best: those who choose to not get involved in politics ultimately end up being ruled by their inferiors. So I have reached out to multiple organizations. I have offered my time. I have offered my voice and anything else that I can do to help be involved. And I'm working behind the scenes right now to fight the legislation that is coming down the pipe here in Oregon. And I say to you guys, I implore to you guys, and I beg you guys, all of you, please find a way to politically get involved. No matter how that is or how that looks for you, we can no longer just assume that the NRA, that other gun organizations, or that people on the political right are going to fight for our gun rights. Guys, this is a situation where across the aisle, so many people are looking at the Second Amendment and they're saying, I don't agree with it, I don't believe in it, and I will not stand for it. And the only way that we can help protect that is to get involved ourselves. Last but not least, and this is the thing that is so frustrating to me, our last option in terms of dealing with anti-gun legislation, specifically in liberal blue states, is to move. Now, I have worked extremely hard over the last 2 years to get to a position where I could purchase a house. Guys, listen, I am 44 years old. I bought my first home at 22. I had to give it to my ex-wife in a divorce at the age of 29, and it took all the way up until me being 44 before I was able to purchase a home again. And the fact that now I have to sit here a mere 6 months later and really assess and evaluate if this is the place for me, which I can tell you right now it's not, that's absolutely disheartening. The amount of money that I will lose on having to sell my home, the potential to lose out on opportunities and be around family and friends here in the Portland area, all of that is on the table because I cannot in good faith support the horrible politics and the backwards leadership of this area. The state of Oregon has just, I would say, gone completely bonkers, but I'm sure it was like this well before I moved here, but only in the last 2 years that I've been here have I been a part of it, have I seen it, have I experienced it. And now my safety, the safety of my family, the safety of the people that are close to me, the safety of my loved ones, I can't do it, guys. So your number one thing is to move. Don't live in places where you're not respected. There is a statement that says, go where you are appreciated, not where you're tolerated. And we are not appreciated. Those of us who are veterans, those of us who have served, those of us who have put our life on the line, even our law enforcement officers. Guys, this legislation that's coming down in November, it does not exclude police officers, right? They are in no better situation than anyone else. Some would say that they shouldn't be, but it's just absolutely insane here. So if you are living in a blue state, a blue city, a liberal run area where your gun rights are not respected, which means that the Constitution is not respected, you should not, in good faith, be giving your time, your effort, and your money to that location. You should not be paying taxes to that location. And the best thing that you can do is move somewhere where you're more appreciated and you're more welcome. And it looks like ultimately that's what we will end up having to do ourselves. So these are my top 5 tips, guys. I want to hear what you think. I want your comments down below. I want you guys to be active in this comment section. This is so important to us, not as security guards. It's important to us as Americans. Get involved, get in the fight, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your ideas are. Let me know what your thoughts are. I want to hear it, all right? You guys, as always, thanks a lot for being here. Be safe and be great. Take care.